is a going to be looking at these two items here, and this is a very unique tool inside the embroidery software because it allows you to go in and do freehanded type drawings and things like that. And when we click on this particular tool here, it shows us our box here up top here with the smoothing and allows us to smooth this. As you can read here, as a percentage, how close the smooth outline should follow the cursor actually as you're going in and you're digitizing your objects on the screen. Here is our guide. If we click the guide here, here is our inner circle radius, okay? And this could be adjusted, and here are the number of guide circles here, okay? And so with this particular tool inside the software, if I kind of left click here and hold my left mouse button down here, this allows me to go in and create this closed shape here inside the program. And that's the great thing about this feature here, because it does allow us to go in and do some cool lines. Now this it works perfectly. Hi Bonnie, welcome. And this tool, if you use a pen tablet, I mean this is a great tool for the pen tablet, the ultimate tool here for a pen tablet, because a pen tablet, I don't know if you guys have one of those, it allows us to go in and draw freehanded, like with just like you had a pen in your hand basically, and you can go in and you could draw. I use one every once in a while. I have a Wacom tablet that I use every once in a while, and so those are, I mean, to get the ultimate enjoyment out of being able to use a tool, that would be it. And but because I'm so used to the cursor here, I find myself using this sometimes as well. Now, if I select this, if I right click here and go into the object properties of this, now as you can see under the object properties here, what you see is a run is what it's confined as basically. And here is our stitch length here that we can go in and we can adjust this also, okay? The variable run here would be, again, if you're having a sharp curve, it works this way actually. If I go in and I do a shape here, so I select this here, and I have a sharp curve like this, if I'm going in, if I'm doing a curve like this, what that variable run length does, and let me take off the true view here. What that does, if this were not on, it would go in and it would do something like this. Let me turn the true view back on. It will go in and it will cut any sharp turns or curves inside the object that you're working with here. And so that variable run stitch here, I usually don't even bother this. I just leave it just like it is. Okay, the chord gap here is going to be the distance here as far as going in. Now, as I increase this, you can see the stitch length here decrease. So with the chord gap, we can go in and we can adjust this also and change things. But again, even with the chord gap, I don't usually even bother with that. I'll just leave it just like it is, because usually when I'm working with the objects that I'm working on the screen here, I'm just sticking to what I'm actually drawing on the screen. But that's what these items here, they're for modifying and editing. And of course, we can go in, we could increase the stitch count, the stitch length of the run stitch here also, like this, okay? And with these tools, basically, you know, what are they good for? You know, they're good for if you have designs that are like you're trying to create with freehand type effects here, like this is a terrible artwork here. But for something like this, if I needed to go in, now if I'm using this as just a regular run stitch for this, I can use this as a regular run stitch for this. If I'm going to use this as a closed shape, I can use this as a closed shape. For instance, if I select the closed shape here, now here, when I look at this, again, I can choose the smoothing option here, I have my show guide on the screen here. That's my little, I can just go in and just start drawing it like this. Again, I'm holding down my left mouse button here. So as I'm going in, so if I'm going to use this as a fill for something like this, I can release that there. Okay, press enter. I can select this, and if it's going to be a fill, I can go up top here and just click on my tatami stitch like this. I can fill this area in. So as you're drawing with these, and this is just faster than if you're going to digitize it manually, is what this represents here basically. And so I can right click on this, click here and right click this and drag this down, and I can just rotate this. Like this. Close shape, again, the close shape is going to allow you to go in and create that shape basically, just like this. As I press enter, close that shape here. Again, once I select it, I can choose my tatami stitch fill to fill that area in. And so, so you will decide pretty much what and how you're going to be using these fills here with these. Here, I can go to my reshape tool, just like any other object that we go in and digitize as a tatami stitch. We can go in and we could change the stitch angles of these also. And so a lot of times too, when we're working with things like this, when we're using, let's say, animals and things like that, and using that tool is also a great tool to be able to go in and to create hairy fur on top of fill stitches. Okay, like right now, if I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to choose this close shape tool here, and I'll start here. Oops, back up, undo. So I press S here. Change this here like this. So I'm just going to go, I'm going to start here. And so as you can see with this, sometimes it's better to go in and just do a regular fill type, because sometimes with something like that, as I press S, it could be, unless you're used to using a pen tablet to go in and do something like that. So sometimes it's better just to go in and just to create this with the regular tatami stitch fill or satin stitch here. Or for this one, when I go in, uh, and just digitize it just like this. Okay. And not that this artwork here is pretty bad, so can't let that stop us here from doing something like this, though, because this is a kind of a creative project here that we're working with. And so we're going to just kind of work around this, understanding that the artwork is just terrible, just like this. Okay, and as I come back around here, as I close this, my entry point, exit point, and stitch angle, like this. So press S here, stitch angle here like this. And we have a fill. Now, at this point here now, as I go in, now for this particular fill here, I can select this by going in and clicking it here, going to my fills, and I could kind of look and see how the auto split tool works for this to see if I can use this. Okay. Or if this is a problem here for something like this, because I have a fill stitch in the background here, I could go in and perhaps select these, go into up top here and choose my knife tool and do something like this. Didn't complete that, and I pay for it. So let's try this again here. As I select it here like this and choose the knife tool, and let's start this again here. I should have just right clicked on my points like this, and I'm going to left click here back in the start like this and press enter, and it's going to go in and cut one of those out. I'm just going to select this one, right click and drag this here, and I'm going to rotate this around. Like this here. And so this one here is going to stitch on top here. So I'm going to go to my tool here. I'm going to move this to the end of the design like this. So now I can actually go in and select this in my fills and take off the auto split stitch if I don't want it in here. For these also, I can uncheck these. Click this in the center here. Change my color here also. And so Bunny has a question. How would you go in and create that center stem with the partial cut in the middle of the leaf? See here. When you refer to a center stem, are you referring to this flower here? Oh, you're referring to the center stems here in the leaf area like this. Okay. Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can actually go in and do this. And one would be if I were to go in and if I select the item on here, if I click this way. Now, one way to do it is to go in with the knife tool and do something like this. And then at this particular point here, I can select the leaf here and I can go in and I can adjust the angle on this one and the angle on this one like this. So this is, one way that I could go in and I could just go in and split this. We always have the knife tool, the manual knife tool, which is much more effective. And I say that because you can use this at will at any time, but you cannot use the automatic knife tool at any time because based on if you select the object, if it's branched or something like that, this won't work actually. But with the manual knife tool, you can do that actually. If you're going to cut halfway up the leaf, let's say here, if I select this and I use my knife tool here, see what it does. Yeah, that's not going to work it there. So what you're going to have to do for something like this is you can either go in and use your column B stitch to do this with, or for instance, right now, I don't even have to cut it here. If I want to add a gap here or something like this, what I would do is I would just add this with the outline. I would just add a running stitch here for the outline to split this. And so stamp tool is not going to be the best tool to use for something like this, because with the stamp tool, as you're going in, stamp tool is only going to give you carving stamp. This is not going to give you what you need here for this, because with this you're just putting stamps here on the center, and this is basically another class here also. So with that carving tool, another option that you have for this, if you only wanted to get this like this, now you got to keep in mind the size of the leaf that you're working on, okay? Because the size of this leaf here, based on how wide it is. Now, and if you know for a fact that you want to do that split, if you know for a fact that you want to do it, another tool that you have inside your software that you can use for something like this is going to be your, you have a tool here that's called your user-defined split. Now, with the user-defined split, this allows you to go in. If you have this feature inside your software, I could go in and choose this user-defined split here, and here choosing the complex fill stitch. Now, for something like this, I could go in and I could start digitizing. I first have to go in and digitize this outline first. And now for something like this, as I go in, once I press enter to finish that, I don't have a hole to put in it, so I'm going to press enter a second time. Okay, so now I'm going to enter my entry point and my exit point here. Now, now I can go in and do my angle for this. Now, as far as the angle for this, I get to decide, you know, where that's going to stop. And so right now, my angle is going to be like this. Okay. Once I put that angle in, if you look at my lower left corner of my screen, I can now go in and I could use my outline here to add a split to this particular object. And that means that I can start here and I can stop this split right there. Now, once I press enter, here I'll press enter again here to finish this. And now this is going to give me the length, whatever the length that I put here with this, it's going to add the length to it. But I did this using the user-defined split feature inside the software. You have to keep in mind also this distance here between the width of this. So if you do go in, you're going to make sure that this width here is not going over. It's 6.72, which is fine. But this was any larger, you know, what I don't want to have to be forced to do is to go in and use the auto split stitch for it. Because once you do that, you'll still have your indentation here, but you're also going to have the little blocks here, or the little crosses here, okay, with this actually. And this looks different than that, okay? So everything's going to be based on, or if you chose to do it with a tatami stitch, you can do a tatami stitch and just end it right there also. And for something like this, with a user-defined split, is going to work better for what I have to do here with this actually. Okay, again, the stamp tool is not going to be, it's not going to do it for something like this for me. The stamp tool is something that you can actually go in and you can create a stamp for it And that stamp basically is going to be used for if you have multiple objects that are going to actually stitch on top of it. And so for this particular project here, it's going to be better for me to use the user-defined split with it actually. Okay. I could go in, again, the stamp tool is going to be, that's a totally different class actually. And so, hi Carl, welcome. Yes, Bonnie, it will work with the fill stitch. So here I can make this, I can select this, make this a satin stitch, or I can make this a tatami stitch for this. And again, this is the user-defined split feature inside this. It is a great tool option inside the software because it does allow you to go in. Hi Sonia, welcome. It does go in and let you use those particular features inside the software, which are great actually. Okay, and that's that. And I use that sometimes when I'm going in and doing some special projects, going in and using things that I'm trying to get in a special effect with, using that user-defined split. Okay, and so once I go in, I also have the ability to go in now. Let's say I wanted to go in and let me select this here, this object, and I want to take away the auto split with those. I don't want to use auto split. Do you notice anything different about the petals here that needs to be changed? Very good, Wendy. Stitch angles. Stitch angles should be, they should match. In other words, you decide whether you're going to do these across or lengthwise. Okay, so for these, you would always go in, you have your stitch tool here, where I can take it to the beginning here and then use my stitch angle tool like this and bring this all the way across like this and press enter. Oh, it didn't like that, did it? Wow, let's do it this way. It would do it this way actually. Sometimes when you go in and you're doing things and things are doing something strange actually, you know, I don't want you to stop and look at it for 30 minutes and say, well, why is it doing that? At this point with these, we want to go in and we want to, with these here, I have 2 stitch angles with these, okay? And for those, I'll try this again here. I'll go in, either I can turn this like this, and again, go into the auto split tool and change that like that. And then for this one, and see, once I select the stitch angles here, what it does automatically, it already has 2 stitch angles here already in the object. And so that's why that's not a good choice for that for now. If I want to change the direction here of the fill, I would have to go in and choose remove stitches. And then I can go to stitch angle and I can put them in here like this actually. It is really not liking that. And you know what? And that could be due to the fact that I went in and cut these apart originally. Is the only thing that I know that may be causing that weirdness here. But again, we're going to keep moving here. We have a stitch angle, and we're going to take off the auto split stitch here for this also. And here for this center here, I just want to make sure that my exit point is at the other end like that actually. And I want to click these node points, and I'm going to delete these node points here also. It's up to you whether you want to leave them in there or not, but sometimes they just have to go. Click here, press shift, and click this one, and delete those also. So I just want to make sure here for this one that I want to make sure that my starting point here is somewhere inside that object. And as I go in here, making sure the exit point here is on the polar opposite end like this. And you could always go in and you could remove the node points here in the center like that to get rid of those. Okay. All right. So now looking at this fill here. Now, at this point here, I know if I press S here, I've got an outline here that I can do with these. And for the outline for the, once I select these here like this, I can navigate here and choose offset objects here like this and choose a running stitch for this and click OK. It'll add my running stitch here around the top of that like that. And here on the bottom, I could go in and change the color of this like that. And I could do these individually. But notice also that when I do go in, because I did the simple offset tool, it's doing a complete circle around everything. So that's something that I have to keep in mind, because I have to go in and remove those inside lines. This, again, to go in and go back to my select tool here and change the color on this one, and do the same thing for the other two. As I click here and choose that. And this one, same thing. Click OK here. Oops, we have the wrong one actually. I want this one. And you have the top one on the top here also like this. Now with these, as I'm going in and I'm adjusting and changing the colors on these actually. Now at this particular point here, as I'm looking at these, again, whenever you go in and you cut, and you go in and you are adjusting these outlines here, like you see here, I'm gonna have to go back in, and again, for something like this, because these are separated, these objects here, they're not directly on top of one another. So here, I'm gonna have to go in and use my knife tool. The great thing about the knife tool is when you click on it here with this, it'll show you the blue outline for this, and you can just go in and just cut it like this and press enter. Okay, just like this, just to get rid of these. As I navigate, I'll select here and I'll cut these. And I'll just continue. That one and this one. And cut the insides like this. Okay. The circle in the center is fine. And inside my color object list, as I look here, I can see where the objects are here. And these are the ones here that were actually cut out here. You can tell here because the stitch count is very low for these. So we'll go in and take a look, make sure that we got all of those out of the way. This one's got to go. And that one's got to go also. And for these also with the 8 here, I could move these. If I go to edit, I can choose select by color, and I can choose color number 8 here and choose OK. And I can move those to the end, or I could just do a cut and paste. That's also going to put them at the end. Okay. All right. And let me go to file here and let me save this also. Save as. Let's go here. Just the online designs here. Backspace here. And this is the freehand. And today is the 22nd, 22. And we're going to save these as version 4. And I'm going to choose save. So now, so with this, as you're looking at this now, let's see, I think I have another question here. Crowley asks, how would it differ if you selected all of the petals and did an outline? Great question. With those, if you go in, it should go in and outline everything. If I select these and choose simple offset tool like this, yep, just like this. So you can do that also. Okay. And with this also, but you remember that because they're going in, because they're separated though, remember still, you're still gonna have to go in and cut these on the inside. Okay, that's still gonna have to be done. Okay, but you can select and you could do them all at once actually. And remember also at this point here, I'm gonna branch these. And right at this point here, I'm gonna leave them just like they are right now. And yes, the petals are going to have to be branched, or they're going to have to be done first before you do the outline, because the petals here are going underneath here on the outside. Okay, and then you have the face here. And so, yeah, so you're going to have to, definitely these are going to have to be done. And as I go in and look at my colors here for these, as I go in and look at these, and when you keep in mind also, guys, when you go in and when you do a cut, that cut's going to affect the objects. But you see these running stitches here? After you do that cut, it's gonna make some lines inside those areas, and you just want to be careful that to remove those if you don't want them in there actually. And now I can select these. Okay, and now if I want to go ahead and branch these, I can choose my branching tool, and I can start in an area, and I could exit in an area like this. Okay. Now, another thing to keep in mind as well, as you're going in and doing something like this, once you go in and branch these, notice also that some of them, they're not connected together. So you have to keep in mind that when you select those after you branch them, you're gonna need to go to connectors here, and you're gonna need to extend these connectors, because if any spacing here is less than 2, we know that it's gonna do a trim. Okay. And so what else do I need to do here before I begin this? What do I need to do here before I change the connector? What do I need to do next? Very good, Carl. Before you, like when things are branched, okay, when you go in, you need to use inside object, okay, and because it's like almost like a Wilcom font, and if I'll change this to 5, and this is just to keep those. Undo here, because you see this here actually. And so now you just want to make sure, because if I were to go back here and make this shorter, then I have to be careful here. Do something here. Yeah, has to be the inside object here, because as it goes in and as it stitches this, everything must be connected. So you want to keep that in mind. And if you do something like this and the object's not touching, well, I mean, you could you could actually go in and move it physically, go in and go to reshape tool and move the object. You can do it that way. Okay. And Carl asks also, is there a difference if you were to do it with the advanced offset? With the advanced offset, if I were to select it here and go in, yes, I have an option here to go in and I want this to be 0 here. I can choose the trim outlines and use a triple run stitch or use a regular run for something like this. And at this point, when I go in and I choose OK like this, it's going to go in and it's going to put those like this. Okay, so there are other options in doing the same thing basically, and that's what makes the software so cool, because there's usually more than one way to do something. Okay, and so you do have that option there now, but you still have to go in and you still have to cut the insides though. Okay, that's something that has to be done. That if you're going to go in and branch these actually, because you don't want to add any unnecessary stitches to the design by leaving those in there. Okay. All right. Now, with this, as I'm looking at this here, another tool that we can use for this. Now, if I select these, but I want to do something different with this, if I needed to go here, I can actually choose my freehand open shape tool. And with this one, you go in and you just create the outlines for this. So if I needed to go in here, if I needed to go in and add a an effect, something like this. Again, better with a pen tablet. Okay. So if I'm going in and adding little accents like this to my design, I mean, you can use this tool to do it with here. And again, this tool is the tool that you can just click and just drag, just hold your mouse button down and just drag it like this. And that's what this tool is used for. And I'm just going loosely here for something like this, because as you go in, you can draw this manually, or you can go in and do it automatically like this. Now, what I can do here also with this tool, I can go in and just do some, if we need to put anything in the background like this, oops, undo. And what I find if I'm going in and I'm working with something like this is I would zoom in as close as you can, because as you zoomed into it, you can have a bit more control with this. Okay, so as I'm going in and I'm looking at these and drawing these lines here with this, I can go in and do something like this here also. And that's what the great thing about using the freehand tool with it. If you're doing animals or anything like that, you can go in and use those with it. Here on the inside, I could use this tool just like this. Just go in and like this. I'm going to add some more to this design. So again, it's up to you basically how you want to go about doing this. And again, with the knife tool, I can easily go down, because it's my idea, what is my intention to go in and use an outline around this to define the center here. And so if I'm going to use this and use the split here for the green area like this, then I have to decide, because if you're going to use the split and use the outline here to define that split in the stem here, that's something that you have to think about exactly how you're going to do that. Okay. As I click save here. Okay. And Carl, you're asking about the inside object. Oh, I'm sorry, that was the connectors. Okay, so now, so with this design here that we just created here with the using the freehand tools and going in and using something like that. Now, keep in mind, guys, too, that as you go in and using these tools, I can choose this tool. I can go in and now if I select the tummy stitch fill and I go in and I use this tool, I can use this tool like this. Okay, with the tummy stitch. So this is going to give me the ability to go in again and create different shapes here like this as I'm going in and working with with these tools inside the software. And again, you have the ability as you go in and using these different outlines here, if I'm going to go in and choose to fill this area in, I mean, I can go in and I can use the close shape tool to fill this in. Shapes like these are always going to be easier because you got a border around it that's going to cover it up anyway. As it goes in, it fills the area in like this. Now, keep in mind too, with our, let's say for instance, I'm going to delete this here. If I wanted to achieve this effect here with this, again, my choice, I can go to my complex fill tool. My user-defined split is still selected. And guys, keep in mind, if you're using user-defined split, make sure that you turn it off. Because if you don't turn it off, it's still going to go back. It's going to default to this if you don't uncheck it, okay? Let's say we're going to do something like this. And this time, I'm just going to digitize this. As I press enter, I don't have a hole in it, so I'll press enter a second time like this. And I'll then enter my entry point and my exit point like this. And then again, you'll do your stitch angle. And at this point, again, you have to pay close attention to the lower left corner of your screen, looking at your bar there, because this, your prompt bar here is very important, because right now is where I'll go in and I'll use my outlines here to go in and do this. So here, and I can just start here just like this. And for something like this, I can stop here and press enter, and I can continue like this. I don't have to do a continuation with this one. When I'm ready to stop, I'll just enter it. I'll just enter in that, I'll press enter to tell it I'm ready to stop. Or I can continue. It's totally up to me how I choose to do it here like this. And right now, as I go like this, I can maybe extend this one out like that. Double that one here like this. And for this one, and when I'm finished, I'll press enter. And here I've got, and for something like this here, it looks like this. And so this is why in situations like this, and it's not that you can't use a stamp tool if you're trying to choose a certain effect, but with this one, you have more control because you're actually putting in your outline points here on the screen as you're working. And again, when you're ready to stop, you can just stop and just start somewhere else. And this is a satin stitch here that's going to extend across like this with these indentions in it. So this is going to be a unique look here with this. And then I can select this one. I'm going to turn this off now because I don't need it. But watch what happens. Because it was selected, it went back. So I'm going to undo it. Uncheck it first. I'll choose the simple offset tool. And this time I want to make it a satin stitch. Click OK. And here you have the control of going in and making it. Now for this, I don't want the user defined split, so I'm going to have to uncheck it there. And that's what I was referring to earlier. Make sure that when you're done with it, make sure that you turn it off. If I click this here and delete this one, I'm just going to take this down like that. And so this is what that looks like by going in and changing and adjusting that. And as you're going in and water, yes, it's a very, very, it's a very, very nice feature inside the software. And it is, and remember too, when you go in, if I go in and I'm not sure if it'll, let's see here. So right now, in using the freehand tools here, which you have, and these freehand tools here, as you're working inside the software, again, once you go in and you click this, you have, you can just digitize running stitches just like this. And they're great for detail for things when you're working with inside of the software. In our next class, we'll go in and do something a bit more detailed using this feature inside the software. But this, if I wanted to go in and just add outlines for something, I could just go in and just draw them. Okay, just like this. And so that's something to kind of keep in mind. And as far as going in and using, I'm going to connect my my Wacom tablet here for a second. In the process, let's take a look and let's see how these things. How these are stitching. And we talk about the Wacom tablet, and I just want to share with you just what the difference is if you have not used one before. And I just want to share with you the difference in the layout as you're working on the screen. And you saw what I could do with my mouse. So let's take a look and let's see what the difference is as far as being able to go in and use the Wacom tablet here. And we'll zoom into this so you can see this a little bit better like this. And here. So this tool here now, and so as I'm looking at this, and I just want you to see what the difference is between being able to go in and use the tablet. Yeah, if you've never used the tablet or you have questions about, well, is that something that's right for me? Because it's not for, it may not be right for everybody, and it usually takes some skill, some time to get used to it. But once you do, it's a really, really nice tool actually. And I find that I still have to use my my mouse to do certain things with it. And so speed this up here. And here's how that looks. Here's how that stitches out. Okay, which looks pretty cool. Okay, so let me show you here now using my mouse, and this is just a reference for you. Using my mouse, if I go in and I draw, if I draw a line, I'm going in and doing a line like this. Okay, and here's my pen tablet. Now, for the pen tablet, when I go in, and I start drawing lines like this, you can see here how much control I have, how I can go through and I can outline things with this. And so this is the difference here in the control that you have using a pen tablet than you would your mouse. Like for this, and depending on how you set it up. So this is just, it's just easier because I'm kind of drawing with a pen is what I'm doing with this actually. And so if you ever wanted to know the difference between using the mouse and using the pen tablet, it's easier to use the pen basically, but you can still use the mouse because that's what I use mostly to do things with, but just to show you and share with you what that difference is between being able to go in and use those. Any questions? Um, Carl asked, can I recommend a tablet? Now, I use the Wacom, and they have different versions of it. They have less expensive ones and they have more expensive ones. And so mine, I have a small one, kind of the beginner one is what I have actually. And um, does anyone else use a Wacom tablet? And do you have any recommendations on the size of it? Because when I got mine, actually, it was for kind of a training purposes to see if I would like it enough to get a larger one. And the size of it actually, because again, I've got the smaller version of it. And so Bronwyn asked, how do you set up the tablet? I mean, I've got my tablet here and I've got a USB, and you have to go in and download the driver for it. And that was it. Okay. Eduardo says that he brought a Wacom tablet but cannot get used to it. Yeah, these things you have to get used to them. And I guess if you started out with one and you used it for years actually and got used to it, you can be really, really fast with it because I've seen some people, they do amazing things with pinpoint accuracy with these pens. And but it just depends because for me, I still use the mouse 98% of the time. Oh, so Bonnie says that she had one, but she had one with a ball on the thumb. Now those get some getting used to also because I got one of those too, and it's something that you just got to be really into, and you work to be able to use it efficiently. It's a Wacom, um, Brenda. It's called WACOM. Curly says her Surface Pro works fine. Understood. Yeah, they do take getting used to, guys. I must admit. Carmen says she uses a 6x8 Wacom and she loves it, and she uses it in Corel quite a bit, which is definitely understandable. Oh, it's a laptop with a tablet. Cool. Coralie. Okay, with the pen. Very interesting. And I just again, I bought the tablet that came with the pen. Is what I purchased actually. But that's awesome. So let's see here. So anything else with this? So basically, guys. So the again, the tools. I mean, um, do you guys use these tools a lot in your daily activity? These freehand tools? Stephanie uses it. Allison loves her Wacom tablet. Cool. Debbie, she doesn't use these that often. Stephanie says she uses these. I mean, it depends on what you're doing, basically, because if you're doing corporate logos and things like that all day long, you may not have use for something like this. Um, but as you're going in, you're doing special projects and things like that. And Brenda mentions also the Wacom tablets that Amazon has them for $60, student version. Um, that's the basis. The student version is $70, and the large one's 380 dollars for those tablets. Again, um, it's something that you just have to practice at, just like anything else. And if you do a lot of graphics and things like that, it's much faster to work with those type of tools actually. All right. So do we have any more questions? Um, yes, and oh, interesting. So Stephanie, yeah, Stephanie does a lot of one of a kind designs, and this tool inside the software is perfect for doing those types of designs actually, because as you're going through, you're working with the artistic version of the designs, and you'll be able to go in and use these particular tools, and that's one of the main reasons why this tool is so effective. Carl asked, what should I watch out for when digitizing if I want to use a thicker yarn? Um, if you're using a thicker yarn when you're digitizing, your density has to change actually. Okay, and so and that would be the thing actually, because if you use 80%, that might have to go up to like maybe 90. You'd have to test it out to see. But the thicker the thread, that means that the higher that number needs to be in order for you to get those to work. And you'll have to stitch those out and run some samples of those, just 1-inch blocks or half-inch blocks, to test to see what it looks like. And be sure you write down everything on the fabric, allow yourself enough space, or and so that you can have that somewhere in your workbook. Now, this Alice wants to know the difference between the smoothing. Now here, and what this does, the smoothing inside the software here, it specifies as a percentage how closely the smooth outline should follow the cursor. So if you're working with something like this, if I go in and choose 0, and it just works for how close the actual outline is to the cursor, is what that does. If I were to move this to 90% like this, and this has to do with the space between the actual outline and the cursor as you're moving on the screen, is what that's for actually. Okay. Any more questions? let's see, Corley mentioned, that had to be rescheduled. If there's a, I didn't see that there's a class here for the advanced digitizing for today. I have to go and recheck that, but if we're there, maybe it was an error or something. We have to go back in and reschedule it. Thank you, Brenda, for your kind words. Yeah, no, that class yesterday is going to be rescheduled. Again, we had some major Wi-Fi issues here yesterday. And on Tuesday, we did have a class on Tuesday with the spiral fill. And I will just, if you didn't get that, you can just shoot me an email actually, because I did send out that class for everyone that registered for it. But if you didn't get it, just let me know. My pleasure, Coralie. And Carl wants to know where is the Docker for the smoothing. Once you click on the object here, it should pop up on the screen here. Now, sometimes when you click on these, it may be up top here somewhere also. And so sometimes you have to go look for it because sometimes it hides itself up top or somewhere on the menu here. But here's the here's what it looks like here actually. And sometimes when you click it, it may not be directly on your screen. Okay, so I'll just send out the Tuesday class when I send out the recording for this one. Also, I'll just send it to you, both classes. Okay. Okay, Eduardo, and I saw that email, Eduardo. So I saw that actually. Okay, thank you. All right, well, guys, if you, my pleasure, guys. If you have any, also in the window menu, I can't find it. So, Carl, you don't see this menu here? My pleasure, Bronwyn. Yes, I did, guys. I got all of your emails, and I'll get those to you actually. Just a little backed up. Okay, thank you, Bonnie. Okay, yep, great, Carl. All right, guys. If you have again, if you have requests for classes that you want me to teach, actually, again, you know that you can always send me an email to support@willcomeamerica.com. In the subject, put attention, James. And we ask also that you visit us at our website, www.willcomeamerica.com, for information on updates. And I believe that there's an update on our website, update 3. You might want to check there and see. It's the latest update for E4.5. Okay. All right. Guys, thank you for your patience today. I really appreciate that. And guys, have a great evening. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to take you through how I set up my Willcom workspace. And maybe we can learn some things from each other with that as well. And thank you, Wendy. Thank you for your kind words. Well, guys, have a great evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. And as always, happy digitizing. Take care now. Bye-bye.